Guys, let's get real.
Let's get real for a second.
Are you ready to have your mind blown open and taken over by rainbows that the earth squirted inconceivably into some fat stones?
Are you sick and tired of seeing the same double rainbow? Do you know in your heart that you need infinite rainbows? Me too.
We're seeing them right now, and we have the answer for you to manifest the reality that you truly desire.
Yeah. Wear these opals while you're manifesting and manifesturbating your dreams.
They will take over your dreams, let me assure you. Yeah, we're here today to tell you about our fairy opal grandparents.
Yeah.
Cosmic opals.
Cosmic opals. We love them. They love us.
Sponsors of the pod.
Sponsors of the pod.
And all they want for you is to experience rainbows.
Yeah.
And find incredibly unique jewelry.
Yeah. And like they mine them themselves, and we went mining with them, and it changed our lives forever. When you're like sifting through the dust and the dirt and the rubble all day, and then you find a shiny rainbow, these are more rare than diamonds, y'all.
Yeah, we became the opals. The opals became us. We were dreaming an opal. We're obsessed.
You realize everything is opal, and I feel like you need that.
I feel like you need 10% off.
I feel like you need 10% off
on the whole site. So go to cosmicopals.com, type in that code. Boy, you know it's online forever.
And remember, everything is opal. So
opal and out.
Get some opal today.
Are you sure you want to post that? It's gonna be online forever.
All right.
I'll put my cup there.
So we have 4 guests, or four people, 4 entities in the studio.
Yes,
today.
we have 4, the most we've ever had. We have our lovely snake channeler, Stephanie.
I'm
Welcome.
so happy to be here.
And will you introduce your familiar?
This is Shesha. He is a 8-year-old boa constrictor that I do psychic readings with. So elevator pitch is it's like a tarot reading minus the deck plus a snake.
Nice.
Yeah.
And he does the work, and you communicate it.
Yeah.
It's a collab.
It's a collab, but to be honest, like, it's mostly his game plan, and, like, I just say what he's saying. Like, when I started this work, it was under the agreement that I was just going to tell strangers what my snakes were saying, and that they said it was all going to work out from there. So it's all been working out since then, kind of, ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
But the work just continues to take me on a journey, and that's like it brought me here. So amazing.
Yes.
Is Shesha one of several snakes you read with?
Yeah. So all of my snakes kind of like specialize in certain things. So Shesha likes to be the star. He likes to be here. He likes to talk to hot ladies. He really likes to go and socialize. My other snake, who is like significantly bigger and significantly younger, has zero interest in making friends. He only wants to do like photo shoots in the privacy of our own room and like tell me secrets. So like everybody kind of like teaches me, like all of these snakes teach me, and then like they all have like their certain roles that they like to do, and he likes to be here. So yeah, he even told me what to wear.
Great choice.
Thank
the
you.
shoes.
Yeah,
I need help from Shesha.
Every once in a while I get a bit stressed out, and then he reminds me that he's in charge.
Love
So,
that.
there you go.
Shesha.
Yeah, don't escape. Stare at the cameras.
So when did this work begin?
So this work began, I started offering readings in 2018, but I started working with my snakes like psychically in 2011. So I thought that like that was just a me thing, that like I just had a relationship with my snake and it was a vibe. And then like push came to shove and she just kept telling me what to do, and we started doing the readings together. So yeah, that's how long we've been in the game.
Awesome. We were just talking about how people's fear of snake is like, there's just so many people are so scared
Yeah.
of them. What do you think that is?
You know, I think that okay, so I love things that like scare people and like and force people into like their own like reconciliation with themselves, right? Like I think that like snakes do that. I think that clowns do that too, you know, and it's like there's these certain experiences that start to like surface what our inner limits are. And when it comes to a boa constrictor like Shesha, like he can't kill you, so the fear is something else. And I love helping people to dissolve whatever fears are kind of like limiting them from being their highest potential. And yeah, people are afraid of snakes because like people are afraid, and then they get to like culturally put it on something, and then they blame it on that, you know, like, oh, it was the snake, like, oh, it was the clown. I just love clowns. Yeah, so yeah, I was not allowed to dress like a clown today, but just imagine it for a second, everyone.
That would be great. But she just said no.
You know. We needed to be marketable.
Shesha knows best.
Yeah,
Shesha's a great
totally.
business partner.
Yeah, definitely.
So did you like, how did you start understanding how to like channel snakes?
Yeah, good question. I don't know if I necessarily have like a super like linear answer for it, because when I was younger, I just like was obsessed with snakes. It's been like this hyper fixation that I've had for my whole life. I never had a snake when I was younger, but like I just imagined that I would know how to talk to them. And then at the zoo one day, I like definitely felt like I did. And so that was great for me. And at like about 11 years old, I was actually taken in by a Sangoma witch doctor in South Africa who started to like give me psychic lessons, and I would go and meet up with her every Sunday. So I had these out of the box kind of like occult and magic lessons coming in from a pretty young age. I just didn't think that that would like evolve into a job like ever. Like I am a dropout MBA student, so I was not thinking that I'd be a psychic. I was thinking that I'd be like, you know, a business professional.
Yeah. Well, you're so many things because you're also studying law right now,
Yeah,
right?
I am studying law. I'm studying to go to law school, and I can't freaking wait. I'm like, thank you. Oh my gosh, she touched my mic.
You don't need to lift a finger, babe.
Like, I can't even think about the law now. Yeah, I'm studying to go to law school, so I have like a few different facets going on. Something about being psychic for me has always meant that like I see these premonitions, and now I've just kind of like caught up to them, and I'm just trying to like do my part with the premonitions that I see instead of just like trying to tell everybody about them, because newsflash, nobody wants to hear about it. So it's like when it's too soon, it's too soon. So I'm working on just like showing up for the forecasts that I keep seeing with the snakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the snakes are just bringing you places. I feel like in the last couple of years, the snakes have been like, time to go to Arkansas. And then it's like, you're going to live in Texas now. And then,
Totally. And we're proudly moving back to Arkansas. Yeah. I know that you're from Arkansas, and like this podcast is going to be all about Arkansas now. I love that you're from there. I think that it's just like such a funny, like weird place. And I just like, I feel like I know like a different like gritty side of like who you are, and like your like vitality and your like bigness and your confidence, because you're from there and you're here and you're doing the work that you're doing. So like hats off. And
Thanks,
like,
man.
yeah, for sure. The hills are weird.
They are weird. It definitely informs so much of who I am. And I only keep learning more about that. Like the farther away I get from it, I'm like, it's in there deep.
Yeah.
Where did you live there?
Bentonville.
Walmart.
Yeah, Walmart,
Yeah.
everyone.
She was telling me some crazy stories about them billionaires.
Yeah, I stumbled into it in just like a very innocent way because I just really like to mountain bike. And I had been doing van life for like 3 years, just mountain biking around. And I saw that there were great trails in Arkansas. So I popped myself up there and then was like, oh, what is happening here? Because it was like a flush economy with like my favorite coffee shops and like my favorite Portland shops. And I was just like, what am I doing in Arkansas with all of my favorite thingies? And yeah, I definitely I took a break and now I'm like ready to go back. I've decided, shut up, I love it. And I am not going to make any like reasons for that. I just like,
It's just the right place
I'm
sometimes.
just vibing it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Are you going to go back to Bentonville?
Yeah.
Whoa.
I know. Back to my my little bubble of billionaires and millionaires.
Oh my God.
You attract like billionaires specifically. Is it?
Yeah,
It's the snake magic.
Okay, so here's the thing. I love people who have figured out a way to like hack the system and to live differently. I'm really into people who have like something interesting going on with their lives, who are doing something interesting for themselves and others. And like, I mean, that's totally what has like attracted me to like the sex work industry and to fringe economy, like working on a weed farm. It's totally like what attracts me to like venture capitalism too. I'm just like, what is going on the outside? Like, how can I like understand the system a little bit more by like allowing myself to explore outside of the system and like that fringe? So busted. I do love billionaires.
And the fringe economy.
Where is my snake going?
What are the billionaires you know like? Are they, do you think you can ethically become a billionaire, or are they a little loco? Or is it all over the place?
I think that it's all over the place. Oh, thank you. She touched my shoulder. I'm like going to make notes of all of these things. Like, dear diary, Sydney touched my microphone. Dear diary, Susie touched my elbow or my shoulder. I'm already lying in my diary. Okay, so I think that basically in a big sense, billionaires are super similar actually in like their energy and like suspicions and like paranoias as just like super poor people. And that is like, sorry guys, like no beef to anybody, but I think that like there's something to be said about like just being on such polar opposite sides of the like economic and class spectrum that just really isolates people. So like why somebody would like work so hard to isolate themselves or journey so far out of the box is like really interesting to me. And can you ethically become a billionaire? Like, I think so, but you would have to be the perfect personality to like live that type of isolation. Yeah. I talked to all kinds of people when I was doing van life stuff, and it kind of made sense to me when I realized that like the super impoverished and the super wealthy have so much in common, but yeah, it wasn't something that I was expecting. I just kind of like bougie things, and then I kind of like gritty things. So that's thank you so much, honestly, for chilling. I was like, please don't go everywhere right now, and like, look at you.
He's happy.
I feel like, yeah, he loves boobs for sure.
He loves boobs.
Yeah.
He definitely,
He'll keep
he's a magnet for hot chicks. He used to just like only be a magnet for like really like hyper 12-year-old boys, which was this whole situation, but he seems to have matured.
He's out of that phase now. He's like, maybe I should skateboard.
Totally. Yeah, you're going to be a skateboard daddy.
Why did you choose Shesha to bring today?
He's the one that
He's
told
the one.
me.
Yeah. He said, I'm going on. It's me.
It's you, huh? Yeah, he's like kind of huffing about it. Yeah. I mean, you really did put in the work. Okay, so what he says is that, like, because he was basically in charge of the channel that I did originally for Susie years ago, that he also had scheduled himself in along the timeline to be in a podcast that he knew was going to exist. And that's why he's here.
Wow.
Sassy.
He did, yeah. I mean, he definitely, you both told me lots of things that came exactly true.
Yeah. I would like to take a moment to just let everybody know that I've done like close to 2,000 readings now, and I have only seen 2 people take the channel to like its capacity, and you're one of them. And it's so beautiful because like as a like channel, what I'm seeing is like exquisite, and it's also just like kind of this dream that I see for like 60 minutes and then it's gone. But with Susie, like you just made it a reality, and it like is so beautiful, and you've really transcended like everything that you were working with and like taken everything from that like dream state into a reality. And it's just like such proof that you can make your dreams come true. That's cheesy, but I super believe it.
Yeah, it is. I remember being like, I think I'm just like gonna take this leap maybe, and you're like, oh, you are. And I forget, I mean, like I had been stripping, I think, and it was like COVID, and it was maybe when I had started at OnlyFans or maybe before, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But I was just like, you know, like before you dive in the pool, you have a little bit of like anxiety, and like, I don't know, failing at something like that would just be so devastating. And I just wanted to talk to you about it, and you were like, this is going to happen, and then this is going to happen, and then this is going to happen, and it's just all going to happen. And I was like, okay, yeah, I can see that. Let's go with that. And then it did.
Yeah.
I was going to look in my journal to see like specifics from the reading, but time escaped me, and we're here now in the live channel.
Right. Here we are. The time-space continuum.
But you've done a lot of readings for like some celebrities and like big people that might not be posting that they got a snake channeling reading, but they did, you know?
Sure. I like to remind people that like their anonymity is safe with me. So like I personally don't know if I would go and get a psychic reading from some chick that talks to snakes. Like, I would like to think that I would, but just in case I wouldn't be, I just want to, like, kind of keep that part of people really safe so that if they are looking for answers outside of the box, that like they just know I'm not going to exploit them. So I have worked with like Fortune 500 company people, like CEOs and celebrities and people of like, you know, power. But then during like interviews with people like Rolling Stone, like my lips are sealed. Like, and it's so funny because journalists really will try to get stuff out of you. No way, Jose.
We don't have to
no
try
offense
it all,
against
usually.
Jose.
Yeah, people just come here and just like spill their guts.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that it was that same, we FaceTimed about it for a while. It was that same Rolling Stone person that talked to us both. And they were like trying to get information out of both of us, like about similar things.
And I was like, you're not getting in here. You're just going to have a really weird, boring conversation with me right now.
So you emerged into this world in South Africa, right? That's where you were born?
I was born in Denver.
Okay, born in Denver.
Moved to South Africa when I was 9. Left when I was nearly 15. So I did 3 high schools my freshman year.
Whoa.
And I also think, what?
Hell, literally hell.
Don't do that to your children. Like, just homeschool them if you're going to behave like that. Like, just let me boss you around on that one. So I do think that, like, my upbringing and my time in South Africa is, like, kind of what just, like, turned a different switch on for me where I wasn't going to like subscribe to the like suburban types of things that I was raised with in Denver, but like I was going to do something else. South Africa at the time was like the rape capital, murder capital, and crime capital of the world. So as a kid in public schooling, mind you, like I had some different stuff to focus on. And I'm so grateful for it. And it also like it taught me how to accept that like death is inevitable and it could be right now, right here. But you can always celebrate in the meantime. And so like just fuck it up, you know, like have a really fun time.
Yeah, Shesha. Yeah.
He's like, great. Oh my gosh.
Snakes are such like interesting creatures. Like just the fact that they're like this long rod. I'm like, there's something so creepy and non-human about feeling about them, but B, like really spiritual. I'm like, you're like a little wand, or just like I totally understand channeling through them.
Yeah.
Like such interesting shapes too.
They're so fascinating, right? Like they've lived on this planet for like 3.4 million years longer than humans. I know, very proud. And the Tyrannoboa, the first known boa constrictor, essentially looked just like him, except the Tyrannoboa was so large it couldn't fit through a standard size door. So the only part of them that's physically changed since then is they've just gotten smaller to adapt to the planet. And how kind of you is that? Like, yeah,
So
their pattern
kind.
and everything was all the same. And I love their consistency. And it just, like, to me, like, all of their evolution has happened, like, within and, like, on a consciousness level versus, like, changing hair and thumbs or whatever humans have been up to. They're like, be Homo sapien. Get rid of that hair, put it on your head.
Do snakes have sex?
Yeah.
How do they do
They
it?
have two
Okay.
penises, don't they?
Great questions.
Heavy penis.
Yeah. So, actually, 2022 was a big year in snake science. And one of the things that they discovered is that snakes are some of the only, if not the only other animal that has a clit. And so not
course they
only,
do.
right. So not only do they have sex, but they have like clitoral stimulating sex that goes on for a long time. And so I know you're so proud of that. So they have like a couple of like talons on either side of their in quote vent is like what you call the hole that like they pee out of and that their penises come out of and stuff. And so they like latch their talons and then, you know, have intercourse complete with a clit. And so I would assume that the female snake obviously really likes that.
Yeah.
Who the heck doesn't?
Right.
Yeah.
She said she sure does.
Yeah.
So the talons.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm trying to picture. So
like,
the onto the clit.
I don't know.
Let's do anatomy. Okay. So right there, there's like a couple of dots on either side of my thumb. And that's where the talons are. And they come out and they latch on to each other's tails. Yeah. Let them grab your tail. She's just staring. Like, what? Yeah. Those are your talons, huh? Wow. Oh, what a strong, handsome, strapped, taloned man.
How
That's
often
so
do you
cool.
channel with them? Is it like a whole ritual around it, or do you do it as a daily practice?
I'm pretty fluid with it. Like, I really do, like, every once in a while I'll be like, oh, I haven't done like a client reading for like a week or like 2 weeks. Like, I must not be doing the thing. But then I realize that like they've just been putting me into the world and like me basically like collecting information for more readings, and then they just all come piling in. Like, I was dancing at a club in Portland for a couple of months, and I was like, what am I doing here? You know, like, what's happening? And then like I just ended up talking to like all of these customers that were giving me all kinds of information, and like all these dancers that were giving me all kinds of information, and I just had like all of these new puzzle pieces come together, and it's like, oh, okay, so like this is like part of the next wave of these psychic readings. So kind of like it seems like me and my clients seem to go through like different waves of different types of information that we're processing. So it's almost like I've done my research paper for the next tier.
I understand that. I feel like life happens like that sometimes. You're like, why isn't this thing happening? And whatever's happening while you were hoping something else was happening is like
So
exactly
valuable.
gearing you up for the thing that you want.
Yeah.
You know, you're like sponging and processing and discerning different things. And then all of a sudden, like, you're like, oh, okay, it's happening. And all my recent experience is directly applicable.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, I think people forget that just like building relationships with meeting new people and like networking and shit like that is like so expansive and like ripply, and you just forget because it feels like, oh, I'm just chumming around, but it's like, no, that's like a superpower.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And you know, I've noticed that the older I get, the more valuable those like kind of socialite skills are, where, you know, like the ability to go out and meet people is like not something that everybody has. So I try to be easy on myself when I feel like I'm just running around talking to strangers.
Yeah, it's all a part of the plan. You
Yeah.
can't really go off your own blueprint, I don't think.
so true.
It's already set in stone.
Are your experiences with the snakes, are your visions mostly future oriented?
So, the like lens that they have me look into is basically like like an Akashic record of whoever we're working with. And so I'll see like a combination of like an Akashic record placed over their body, and I'll see like their different kind of like auric fields and kind of just injuries in their auric fields in conjunction with the Akashic record. And then what I specialize in specifically is invoking unimaginable upgrades. So like wherever there's an injury in somebody's Akash and auric field is a place that like we'll go and focus on, release, and like kind of like massage that out. So when I'm getting information from there, like the snakes will like show me like either a moving picture that I need to like pick through for the metaphors of, and sometimes at the same time they will also show me like scrolling text like the beginning of Star Wars, and I'm just like expected to translate all of this. So that's how I can just easily just go fast for like 60 minutes of sometimes like a year's worth of information for somebody.
Yeah, it's like opening up a file or something
Yeah.
and having to translate it.
Yeah.
I remember something that you told me during our reading about the galactic panel, right?
Yeah.
And I remember being like, I don't know, you were like, it's time for you to go to the galactic panel and tell them that you know what your purpose is or something. And I was like, okay. And I just went. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not always been easy for me because I have a pretty like lengthy psychic background in my personal life. So I don't know. For someone else that has never had like this type of experience, I guess, it's like, what do you mean go to the galactic panel? Like, I don't know.
Totally.
I'm sure you have clients where they're just like completely lost on how to use what you've shown them.
Well, and it's interesting because like you're somebody who could like receive and then like act on information like a galactic panel, but other people, like sometimes I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I just spent 60 minutes telling that person what to eat. Like I hope that works out for them. Like wish it could have gotten a little bit more meta, but then like they'll reach out to me and be like, oh my gosh, like I did all of this and now I'm thinking so much clearly and like you were totally right. And so it's kind of like I've just learned that wherever the channel is like the perfect place for that person. And like for surezies, like I cannot go running around telling everybody to go and like get in touch with the galactic panel. They'd be like, the lady who talks to snakes is even crazier than we thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about like translating it for the person so it's the most like digestible for them.
Totally.
So like maybe you telling someone to eat almonds to start every day is actually getting them to the galactic panel like while they're asleep.
Totally. And so some of this like skill of like knowing like what is too much for people comes from I was a yoga instructor and religious studies instructor at a college in small town Nevada for a hot sec. And like this is a place where like you cannot say chakras because that's like a sign of the devil, right? Like so like being a yoga teacher for people who are like trying to meditate but like trying to like tiptoe around all of these words so that nobody thought that like they needed to like run away was like such a process. And so like I kind of like got to comb out terms that people could accept and then like be like, oh, don't use that word anymore. Like chakras don't work, but for some reason energy centers do. So run with it.
The gas stations of the soul, if you will.
Think of your body having 7 stores.
Yeah.
One store is purple.
People just take their own time with everything. It's so interesting. I feel like when I started my psychic journey and being really into spirituality, I feel like it was not there weren't like corner stores for it everywhere at that point. It was like something really kind of weird, strange, and not heard of. And now I feel like everyone is like a Reiki master and everyone is a yoga instructor and everyone's doing it.
Wild.
Yeah.
It's wild. The amount of people who are giving psychic readings or tarot readings or, and it's so funny because like, I'm sure that you can kind of relate to this too. Like also being on like the fringe before stripping was cool.
Yeah.
Like stripping, guys, newsflash, used to be so not cool. It was like the equivalent of like working at the circus. I thought that was amazing. But it certainly wasn't like what was everywhere, you know? And so it's interesting to see like what things just like blow up like that, And I'm wishing everybody best on their psychic journey,
And the same thing has kind of happened with porn. Like everybody does porn now.
Right.
Like having an OnlyFans is like it's a household known thing for the most part.
Totally.
When someone tells me they're like, "What's that?" I'm like,
yeah.
Whoa. Like
where are those people?
Yeah. Seriously, it's so interesting. So I feel like having there be an all of a sudden oversaturation of something, I feel like it makes it more legit and at the same time makes like just dilutes it.
Oh, right. I mean, just like a lot of people who are giving psychic readings right now are not going to be giving really like strong psychic readings. A lot of the people making porn right now are not making great porn. They're just making porn with their boyfriend at home in their bedroom. And no shade, but it's not. It's kind of it dilutes it. It kind of like takes away from like some of the like potent artistry in it. And something that I love so much about the porn industry is that like it is an industry that is so in its roots. It's just like such an outsider economy that it's like throughout the existence of porn, like you had to like have your own camera people, you had to have your own actors, you had to have your own lighting, and like it was a completely like independent economy. And I just love that. Like it's so ingenuitive, and it also like fed the mouths and well-beings of outsiders like for decades, right?
Yeah.
And like I've always been inspired by that. I've always been inspired by people who have been able to like look at the system and work outside of it. And so I wonder like like early porn was like its own economy, but now there's an industry that's like profiting off of everybody's artistry, right? So it's all interesting to me, and I also am just so excited to see what like the prolific like artists in these fields like continue to do.
Yeah.
Because it's also like, okay, like both of you have done it and both of you have been thriving with it, and you're also like genius business people. And I mean, like, you
Finally,
let it
someone says
grow from porn to this, and like you're not just making porn, right? Like there's a whole business aspect of it that behind the scenes, like it's like these films and these different scenes that you both are making are only like a small facet of the like huge machine that you guys are like running, and it's so exciting to me. And it's also like I'm so happy for anybody who gets to see your guys' work, and I'm also like, you don't understand, like these dudes are masterminds. Yeah, and you just so are. What a great time. I'm sitting on a podcast with business masterminds. Oh my gosh.
So I'm so interested to see where society is going to go from here. Like post-pandemic, everyone does porn, but everyone hates porn stars still. It's like, I'm pretty private with my spirituality, but my biggest thing that I feel like is like the foundation of what I believe in and how I navigate life is just always reminding myself, it's like always going on in my head of polarity always exists. Like there's always an equal opposite of something. Like the more normal porn becomes, the more mad people are that it's it's normal. And like, so, and the same thing with like, this is probably just a bigger topic to even bring up, but with so many more people knowing about trans people and the trans experience of life, like there's a lot of pushback on that, obviously. Like the more people know about something, the more they're going to try to stop it because it makes them feel lots of things, and people don't feel comfortable in themselves, and seeing somebody be comfortable in that way is really triggering for people.
Totally.
So I think it's a similar thing of like if somebody deep down wishes that they could like flop their titties around on Twitter or whatever, and like seeing somebody do it or hearing us talk about it, it's like, no.
It kind of like invokes the same thing as a snake, right? Like that fear, that like limitation that you have when like you're faced with something that seems so different from you, and then you see yourself more clearly, right? And like, yeah, like now that we can just instantly globally communicate, and we can like do that on a like consumer and civilian level, like there's people who have just literally never even considered that trans lives actually exist. And now that like these things are being blown up, it's like, it's so fascinating. Excuse me, because I also see this like phenomenon where like my like Seattle penthouse like city folk friends have no idea that these other people existed. Like I've had like penthouse friends be like, and not the porn, but like the apartments. Just to clarify, I've had these friends like hit me up and be like, Stephanie, I can't believe that racist people exist. And I'm like, whoa, where were you living? Like this has always been an issue. It's like, and so like both sides are kind of seeing this like transparency, and just like the shock of that is like, it's wild to be able to experience culture shock from your phone.
Yeah. That's true, because people are living in their bubble. They're in their penthouse. They're with all their rich friends, and like they think that they're all not racist, and they assume that the rest of the world is the same, when in reality they're probably racist, and the whole world is. So it's like they're just in their bubble, and I feel like when people get stuck in any bubble that they're in, you lose sight of reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are in the porn bubble, that is for sure.
Yes, we are.
And we forget.
It's a good bubble.
It's a pretty good bubble.
Yeah.
All right.
Sometimes it feels
Sometimes I'm
like
what the fuck?
it feels like we're all in. It's like you're sent back to high school because it's like the same people kind of recycled again and again.
Right.
And it's
Your career's about 4 years long.
yeah, seriously. But everyone fucks each other, so it's like there's
Right.
all these energy exchanges, and some of them go real deep, and some of them are real shallow. And sometimes somebody involved wanted it to go the other way, and
Right.
it's like it's not just like a social industry. It's like everyone knows what each other's bodies feels like. It's
Right.
like
Right. Yeah, that's it's interesting. I feel like outsider economies like the porn industry and clubs, right? Like they're a way for people who are like atypical to exist and thrive and be themselves.
exactly.
And with that being said, some people have never existed outside of those circumstances as an adult. So like people act weird. Like I literally probably got, I kid you not, like 200 messages from like just angry and emotional strippers yesterday who are like all really going through stuff. And it was like, oh, everybody's doing this thing. Like, and why is this like okay in this community? Because these people have like never really like bridged outside of it. And so it just is what it is. It's
What were
like,
they upset about?
just club stuff.
Okay, yeah.
Club stuff.
Yeah.
Like strip clubs are such an anomaly to me. Actually, this is important. Strip clubs are an anomaly to me because like it seems like every strip club literally opens because they're chasing a dream, the dream strip club. We all have the dream strip club.
Mm-hmm.
All the girls are happy. All the girls make money. The owners are so happy. Everybody's making money. It's all so great. The customers come in, they give money. They're respectful. Like the security is there. He kicks somebody out if somebody's too drunk. Like it's all the dream. And some people have like in Dallas, for instance, they have a different version of that dream. But, essentially it's like all the same kind of dream. And so for whatever reason, they only open a different strip club because every freaking strip club fails at becoming the dream.
Yeah.
And so it's like this like weird cataclysmic phenomenon where like, okay, here's the important part. If our malls are closing, if people like Amazon are like buying out like the freaking stocks and clothing and whatever like you need to fill a mall and like keep our cities like full of all the stores we used to have, if all of that is failing, we also don't really need strip clubs anymore. Like people need to pop up their own strip clubs. Dancers need to just like go out to freaking Tahoe, go skiing, pass out flyers for their own pop-up strip club, have their own DJ, have their own security, and like just do a pop-up club and like get money from happy people who are happy to give you money. And like we don't need the middleman of the dream club anymore.
Yeah.
But like all of these women yesterday were like blowing up my phone because everybody's upset that like a dream strip club situation has
Isn't
not
panning
worked
out.
And
Yeah.
and there I go, right, with like my new version of a dream strip club where I'm like, no, the dream now is like cut the middleman, pop up your own. But I think that we're all going to see like a big change in industry, in every industry.
Yeah. Stripping is so interesting. I feel like, we've all been strippers. I feel like it's so valuable. Like you strip and you can talk to anyone and you can like within seconds of looking at a person figure out like what you're probably going to learn, maybe like where it's going to go, how this person's going to make you feel and how you're going to make them feel. I feel like it taught me to just be able to immediately suss somebody out.
Totally.
And that's so valuable in life. Like,
yeah.
whether
And getting rejected in your underwear is a super skill that not many people have.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Dude, I had no backbone when I started working at the club, like at all. did not. I knew who I was way more after I left, I think. Just from, it was really the first time in my life that I like had to stand up to men.
Yeah.
Like you really don't have a choice.
Boundaries every day.
Yeah, I was kind of spineless in the beginning as well.
Yeah, I learned real fast. I made like $85 my first night, and then I went home and I read about being a stripper, and I made $500 my next night. I was like, okay, okay, I can learn.
Let's do this. Yeah, it's hard to navigate, and a lot of people can't do it. And like, it's its own society. Like the strip club is its own entity with its own rules and like norms and everything. And
yeah, it's the idea of like a dream strip club is very interesting to me, and like or like an ideal situation in an industry like porn or stripping, because it conflicts on my mind because I'm like, I feel like these industries exist because they're kind of like, they exist in the imperfections of society. So it's like, can they ever be perfect? Is it just an illusion? Yes.
I love that mind of yours.
yeah. And I feel like a lot of people enter like porn or stripping or sex work in general because they feel like they don't belong in society. So they go and try there. But sometimes they have this like innate like attachment to tradition and an attachment to society, and they're not fully letting themselves like melt into the fringe space of sex work. And so it's like this, they're not finding as much success because they're still in like a 9-to-5 headspace, or like, what does my family think headspace, or whatever like limiting belief systems that they're still attached to.
Right.
And then I think that's where a lot of like bad experiences in sex work can come from, if you're not like fully in what you're doing, besides like, you know, the obvious bad things that can happen when you're in sex work. But and I feel like I want to talk about this because I feel like we don't have like enough room for sex workers to be able to complain about their job. Like we can't say like, oh my God, this guy was so annoying or creepy or whatever, without somebody who's not in it just being like, you're doing this to yourself. You could just work at the bank. It's like, okay, well, I would get sexually harassed at the bank all day.
Right.
Anyway.
And I would make a limited amount of money every day.
Yeah, limited. There's a cap.
Yeah.
And I have a boss.
Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. People don't understand that when you choose to be sovereign, that you're choosing all of that, right?
You're
like,
getting all of the energy of your life and having to like control it yourself.
Yeah, which is I have goosebumps about it. It's so magical. And then like, yeah, you know, the people that are like, well, you know, you could go and work at a bank.
Yeah.
And it's like, is that making you happy? Do you feel the glow up from working at a bank? If you do, like, that's so great. You should not do porn. Like, that's why you're not in porn. That's why you work at a bank. But, you know, like, then people who, like, do care about, like, their sovereignty and, like, the excitement of making limitless money and being your own boss, like, it's worth the risk a lot of the time, you know?
It's a risky business too in general. And every risk that you take in this industry, I feel like financially, at least for me, it's like it does pay for itself. It's just like getting into the space where you like just can believe in yourself enough to jump for it.
Yeah.
And something else that I've noticed with people who have just never been in the industry is that like when sex workers kind of like complain or unload about whatever their experiences are, it literally just triggers the other person because for whatever reason, they were just never the person who was going to enter that field. And so like they're just like they get so conflicted, you know, like and that's a weird phenomenon where you're like, I need to like unload, and like whoever else is receiving it is just like in such a like shock and trigger that they don't even know how to handle it.
No, literally. Like if someone from a grocery store was like, I had such a shitty day, it was so boring. Imagine if I was like, yeah, well, where you work at a grocery store. Of course it's boring.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
what?
Right. Right.
It still sucks.
I know. It's like me and you were just like biting our tongues.
Yeah.
Thanks for saying what needed to be said, Sid.
Yeah. Does Shesha have anything to say?
You know, according to the snakes, like our souls know no time. All our souls know are experience. So the more experiences that you put into your life, the more expansive your soul is going to feel, period. So like somebody who's working at the grocery store, they could still be expansive if they're doing new shit every day, if they're like stepping outside of their comfort zone all the time. But like people who are living in a comfort zone is like, that's like death to a soul. Like take a fucking cold shower, change your diet, see what happens when you stop drinking coffee. Just experiment with life to try to make new shit happen. Because like if you don't, you're basically just like squashing yourself out. And like I see that in the Snake channel, and it's wild because like I don't see it in our clients. Like our clients are like really like wanting to step into the unknown, but on like a global level, something that I just like see is people just like opting out.
I feel like it's like there's a global layer of fear. And I feel like people need their routines and need their comfort zones to feel less fear about their own lives and living in their body in this reality. Because it's scary. Like if you let yourself think about existence or what it all means or like how it feels to have a body and look through your eyeballs and like if you start getting meta about things, it's not a good feeling for a lot of people. So they just focus on their job, getting things done and feeling secure. And so like stepping outside of that means that they're unsafe in their like belief system. So I think it's just hard. And obviously a huge thing to not forget about is money. Like money is a really limiting reality for a lot of people. And like I've experienced that just like feeling completely in one place because not making money, don't have any generational wealth, no one's helping, like it's just all up to you. And that's for me why I started doing sex work, because it was a way for me to find an unimaginable upgrade or find some limitlessness in my life. And I'm not saying that like everybody, the solution is just to become a sex worker, because that does not work and you shouldn't do it, but but yeah,
whatever you resist the most, like whatever triggers you the most is like literally probably what you should lean into. Like not in a cheesy like exposure therapy thing, but like in a real thing of like if you feel a resistance like that, there's probably so much behind that that you should just do it and see what happens, like we're never like tied into any one thing, like I hear people get like so concerned to do something new, whether it's like they're going to go on a vacation to a new place and, are they going to pack everything that they need? Literally every place in the world has towels. Don't worry about it. Like you're going to be fine. And also like, people be like, I don't know, like just like, should I learn the guitar or should I do this? And it's like, just choose one for right now. Yeah. See what you like. Like there's no use in thinking about it this much. Yeah. That like confusion sounds like hell. Like just keep going until you figure out what's right for you. And I think that something that's interesting is like our personalities are different from our souls. So a lot of the time, like our personalities will have a resistance to something. And then like if we just try doing stuff, then we can end up finding out that we like something that we didn't know we liked. Like I'm an avid bike rider now. I would have literally never known that I liked biking. Like I made fun of cyclists in their spandex outfits for my whole life. And now I'm one of those people and I love it. And I do it my way, like I take the places that I like to go and I might drop some LSD before I go on a bike ride. But like, I didn't know that I would like breaking the rules at this thing that I like made fun of before. Yeah. And there's so a lot of things like that for me.
That's a huge part of life is like becoming something that you hated.
Totally. Totally. Yeah. And that's a message to all you haters.
Like, I never thought I was going to be living in LA complaining about it being cold.
Period.
From growing up in Maine. No, sorry. But here I am, doing it almost daily.
And it is cold until it gets hot.
Yeah, it's so true.
Winters are hard.
I'm surprised
like protesting winter right now.
That's important.
I'm over it. I was like, I'm not wearing a turtleneck. I am over winter. So I wore flowers
To
not
manifest.
because of
Yes.
necessarily
Well,
the
it is
weather.
spring.
Yeah.
I'm surprised we haven't talked about social media at all, because I feel like being tethered to social media, I mean, like, you
Yeah.
have to for your job,
Yeah.
even though you don't do porn. Like,
Yeah.
there's so many industries, and I feel like a lot of fringe people that are just like selling a service.
Yeah.
They need it, but it can be so opening, but it also can feel super limiting. So how
Totally.
do you? I know that you've like gone back and forth with it. How are you feeling about it these days?
Okay, it's apparently a necessary part of things for right now for me. I also use like things like Instagram and just like the internet at large with this understanding for myself that I will at some point retire from it and I'll unplug from it. When I'm not with the internet, I literally don't miss it. I just get to be myself in the real world where people see me in the real world time, and I love it. I think that there's so many different platforms that we can use. And it's wild because I think that like there's so much like hypnotic stuff going on with things like Instagram that their censorship starts to create an inner censorship.
Yeah.
And so anybody who's like caught in the grind of social media, just like remember that there's a whole freaking internet out there. And like not only is there like just like the whole freaking internet that we know, but we also are like bridging into Web3, which is on blockchain tech, which has like an extraordinary power for like freedom and to control your own algorithm and to like skip being censored. And so, passionately, I am anti-censorship on like every level. Secrets are like no use if we're gonna have the internet and be able to instantly communicate. Like no censorship. Like we should just go into this. So, I mostly like my biggest contention with mainstream social media platforms are the censorship. And I'm so curious about like all of the Web3 developments that are happening with different social media outlets like Minds, MINDS, like these different social media platforms that have like a really big user base, and you get to control your own algorithm. So if you don't want to be like traumatized by war porn, like I'm constantly getting on my Instagram, then you can like change it and you can like only see psychics, or you can only see porn stars, or whatever you want, and then you can also change it on your end too. So if you only want to be seen by like other psychics or other porn stars or whatever it is, then you can change your algorithm that way. And I think that like all of the social media stuff that we've known as of yet has like kind of just been like we're in the cave ages. Like I don't know if you guys have parents that like got carried away with Facebook or with like, and to like be younger and to see people who were like boomers getting like sucked into it, where you're like, that's not real.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of millennials have gotten carried away with it, right? And like the younger people right now see it, they're not into it, they don't want to have anything to do with it, and that's super valid.
Yeah. It's interesting about the younger generation with social media. I feel like they know that it's fake, but yet it's like an appendage. So then you like start wondering if you're real. And like
Right.
I don't know. I'm grateful for the time that I had in my life before social media, but I don't know. That doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So like these
Right.
kids are starting off with the search engine in their hand. It's wild.
And
It
this
is
like
wild.
second self connecting them to every other person in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like we use social media for our business, but most of the world uses social media to curate their
Consume.
personality.
Which
And,
is wild.
Yeah. Like they're putting all of this energy into it, not even to make a bag,
Right.
just to like perform who they want people to think they are.
This is my shirt. This is my wall. This is my hair.
Yeah.
Give me likes.
This is the song.
You're so right. And I forget about that, right? Like when I'm not in business mode, that's probably when I just hate social media the most. I don't know if I have like a deep personal investment to like put that avatar out into the world if I'm not making money.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather just be like my little popular self wherever I live. I'm popular in real life.
Yeah. It's trippy to be like selling a product, which is me, and like always like I don't know, after a couple of years, like selling Susie Stellar being sexy is like, where's the expansion in that if you just keep doing the same thing?
Right.
You could do it in so many different ways, but like having this podcast has been so nice because I'm like want to pump out content and post about it all the time because it's not just me and my body and how I can make you feel through a screen. It's like it's just something bigger.
Yeah.
It's great.
You're a whole ass lady.
Yeah. With a hole in my ass.
Wow.
So I know that you were in a bit of an orgy era.
Yeah.
And then you were in like a celibate season.
Yeah. Okay, so honestly, my sex life drastically changed when I started doing these readings. Like when I kicked up my like psychic, like everything, then like all of a sudden my sex turned so psychic that like I became the pickiest fucking person in the world. I was not like that before. My first orgy was when I was 16. Like I basically was like, okay, did sex with one person, gotta figure out what it's like to have sex with as many people as I can. How many faces can kiss at one time before you're not kissing, before you're like kissing each other? These were the things I needed to know. And so I've always been that way. Like any relationship that I've like found myself in, it's come with like the understanding that like I will basically just need to be able to like go and take care of myself sexually, like I will not be hindered. And all of my boyfriends have reported back to me saying that like I have a much higher sex drive than them, and so it's good for me to go out, right? And so when all of a sudden, like I started 2018, I masturbated and manifested my life away, just like all Susie. Literally so much. Like on my 30th birthday, I came 30 times before going to brunch, and then I came more after brunch. There was so much magic, and like I was hopping through so many timelines, but it's also like I opened up my pussy's like psychic eye to the point that like it's just like I have to be so picky. So I did go through like a little bit of a celibate phase. I've even tried to like, hold my nut. Not for me. Not for me. No way. I'm never doing that again. Like that was a terrible experience.
Like
I just like tried to not come, and I didn't come for like maybe 20 days. And it was the saddest experience I've ever had.
Was it worth it once you let it rip? Or
No. I was just like, oh yeah, I should never do that again. Like, I'm sure that for the men who are practicing that, it's like a different experience. But I think that like actually women should be orgasming as much as we
possible.
can.
Yeah.
That like the more we orgasm, the more like we're opening this like pussy portal. I think that like pussy is so magical, and like you can't let it close off. Like you have to practice like orgasming and getting yourself into that space. And like literally, sorry ladies, but if you can't do that, then that's the same as ED, and you need to like face yourself and figure out why you're not getting wet, why you're not coming, and like back off of dudes and their dicks and staying hard for like 6 hours or whatever. Like come on, like like if you're wanting that, then you actually are probably just wanting for yourself to be able to come for 6 hours, which is entirely possible. So do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was powerful.
I have a lot to say about all of that.
Yeah.
I definitely have I've been having more group sex than one-on-one sex lately. And I think that it's just like I'm not in a relationship right now and I miss the intimacy of being in a relationship. So if I can have sex with two people, then it's kind of like just more intimate. Then it's not like Stephanie's just having a one and done. And then it's like I'm having a twice and done.
She just said yes, Mom.
Yes.
Sex is so important. Orgasms are crucial.
Totally.
And I can't imagine if I wasn't having them.
Yeah.
Oh, sad.
So
I don't know how I
hard.
went the first 4 years of my life without one.
Yeah, those 4 years were treacherous.
Tough. I was crying all the
sure.
time. I guess I was a baby or something.
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, she's a baby. Give her a bottle," and you were like, "I need a stuffed animal."
Yeah, I was very attached to the binky, which, you know, a lot of adults still are with the vapes. Mommy's milk, you know. Anything that we can suck on. Everyone's just looking for a nipple out here.
Yeah.
Straw.
Yeah.
What about, if we ask this question a lot on the podcast, what is the most forbidden sex that you've ever had? Something you weren't supposed to do?
I'm like,
You're like, I
oh,
literally fucked my snake.
Yeah. No.
No.
That's a common question, though. Like, dudes will be like, "Do you fuck your snakes?" And I'll be like, "Are you kidding me? How would I fuck a snake? Like, if I have had to vet you throughout so many freaking different levels, like, what do you think I would be doing with a snake?"
I have a visual image personally.
Yeah.
Thank you. I love that image. We're just gonna let it soak in. While I like continue to think about like forbidden sex. Like, I don't know. Like, I've never cheated on anybody. So I've definitely been privy to helping people cheat. Married people fuck better.
Because they're grateful.
Yeah, and they're compassionate and like focused and they want that, you know. Forbidden. There was this night I was like introduced as the Dom's Dom in a night of kink, right? And I was like the star of the performance. I was wearing this like big blonde wig. It was my first experience being like blonde like that. And it was so weird because everybody treated me so differently.
Oh, yeah.
So I was Alice and I caught the white rabbit and I like beat her little butt and we had such a good time. And I was just collecting like mostly gimps that night, but like I love to just fuck the hottest person that I see. And so I was waiting, you know, but like gimps are not hot and they're filthy. So the hottest dude came into this night and I was probably like, I think 22. And we like went back to the place that he worked at, which was a CD store, back when I guess CDs were a thing. And we fucked in the back room to Slayer, and my wig came off, and he did not know that I was not blonde. And I think that like there was just like so many things about that were just like so forbidden. Like I caught the hottest guy that I had seen that night. Then like we broke into a place kind of. Then like my wig came off. Like I just wasn't like myself all the way.
Yeah.
And I think that that's probably the most forbidden.
Felt forbidden for you.
Yeah, you know, because like I really don't harbor much like sexual shame or regret. Like I have self-conscious stuff going on for sure. Like this whole time I've been like, oh, this is my bad side. The audience is seeing my bad side. Guys, this is my good side. Do you see that? Do you see that? But like as far as like sexual remorse or regret goes, pretty much zilch.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Blessed.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't.
She put those bags down, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just one of the things that I like didn't have to deal with this life.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel about being online forever and like the content that you put out there about being the snake lady and whatever, like it's permanent and whatever you go on and do in your life and it will be there, like your digital footprint of being like a stripper, sex worker, crazy snake lady, and then going and pursuing a law career. Like I you know, like how do you feel about the permanency?
Online forever, it is so funny because like people have warned me throughout my entire life, oh, if you do that, it's going to be online forever.
Yeah.
Right? And I just prefer it. You know, like this is who I am, then this is the avatar that you can look at through the past on the internet of who I've always been. I would so much rather be confident and transparent about who I am and continue living shamelessly than to ever feel like I need to conceal anything or lie. I don't like cheating. I don't like lying. And so, you know, like what I have kind of like found out about myself is I'm kind of a wild animal. I can't contain myself and make myself not be wild. Quick story on that. So I was a college instructor, right? And unfortunately, I sent out a nude that was meant for my husband to one of my students. And it was horrible, guys. Like, I didn't know if I was going to go to jail for sexual harassment and assault. I didn't know if I was going to face like my fellow faculty members. Like, it was a terrible experience. And like at the end of me just like burying my face as deep into the floor as I could for like hours of feeling so bad about what had happened, like I just came to the conclusion that like it's okay for me to be myself, but if I can't be myself in this environment, then this environment isn't for me. And so I just like, that was a huge catalyst and learning experience for me. I never looked back. And like I would rather everybody know like who the fuck they're dealing with than not. And also, newsflash for law school, I'm going to law for something that kind of doesn't really exist yet. So when I pop out the other side, it will not matter what I've done because I'll be one of the only people who's qualified to do what I'm doing. So fuck it up, you know, like you just have to keep being yourself. It's like it's the clearest key to sovereignty. And that being said, there's a lot of people who are doing the opposite, right? Who are like hot girling their lives away, and that's not themselves. And people need to be real with that. Like if you're going out and like having orgies and like regretting everything, stop it.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know why I've been able to do that other than I've just been myself and that works for me. But like if people are living with regret, like they should stop doing whatever they're doing. Like you are copying somebody else. You know?
Yeah.
Damn.
I know.
This has been incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, I have this amazing fantasy where you two, good cop and bad cop me.
I love that.
Who would be the good cop? Who would be the bad cop?
I knew you were going to ask, so I've tried it both ways.
I'm bad cop.
Yeah, you
I
are.
knew it!
Yeah, because Susie's already kind of like has a little spicy energy, so.
Yeah, you know, and
I can.
And I think that like you would just really enjoy being bad cop, and then like you would just like have so much remorse for me, and you would be like, I have to make this good, and I just want it. I want to be good copped and bad copped by the online forever babes.
Ask and you shall receive.
I feel like that happens on the pod. I feel like sometimes you're the bad cop and I'm the good cop.
Honestly.
Because when we have guys on here, she just roasts them. And like you would think that would be my role, but I'm actually
like,
the more... I know, I'm like,
babe.
He's going to start crying. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for coming. And thank you, Shesha.
Yeah, it's been our pleasure.